but they will understand what our position is once we part company, once we actually return to our way of imagining and conceptualizing the world.
Like the more positive side.
The more positive side, because what I'm afraid of, you know, what would be basically, if you look in a historical perspective, we are bound to have more pogroms, we are bound to have more, even more disasters than previously, because we live in a fake environment. We mimic the Jews and they mimic ourselves. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So basically what I'm saying, I'm not saying that we have to depart from Christianity. I don't want to sound like a guy who is now haranguing somebody against Christianity, quite to the contrary. But to me it doesn't make sense for a Christian guy, or for that matter most of the people that I know, to criticize, to make anti-Semitic slurs, which I'm firmly against, and yet at the same time accept Semitic disciples from the New Testament and Old Testament. Yes, I fully agree with you. The Jewish question is here, but if we just think that they are so powerful, that they are so good, then we are actually admitting that we are weaker than them.
Exactly.
That we should give them to rule over us.
Yeah.
But this is a false type of approach.
Yeah.
We just have to part company and return to, again, I'm not talking about Wotan and Freya. We are not, but our imagery, our conceptualization has to change 100%. And they will know exactly than the Jews, we are not going to fool with Gentiles, because they live in their world. We shall probably have always a tense relationship, but it will never be on the verge of those incessant problems that always pop up, be it in Denmark, be it in England, be it in Croatia, every 20, 40, 50, 60 years.
There will be more truth in the whole question once the discussion can be opened up.
They will be the other and I will be myself.
Exactly, we don't have to hate the other, as
right,
you say, with the big O.
Big O.
We must be ourselves, and once we are better at being that, and doing things from that position, whether it's criticizing the Jews or doing our own thing, finding our own roots, that will be more positive vector. So
absolutely.
I'd like to ask you one last thing, because now it's time for you to. You did go into politics quite a bit, maybe a lot, if this American third position party is successful.
Yes.
Are you ready for that? Is that good? Is that a good way?
I think this is a good. We have some very good, powerful leaders and intellectuals, including Kevin MacDonald, James Edwards, Jim Wassell, Jamie Kelso. He's a very active guy. And what I like, I'll tell you, you know how parties are. There's always a little bit bickering and there are egos. But I can tell you, we do it all on a voluntary basis. We are not paid for anything. And we have our chief, Mr. William Johnson, Bill Johnson. He's a very fine guy, and he's a Mormon, by the way, but incredibly tolerant fellow, very, very down to earth, and he's a very famous lawyer in LA.
Yeah, I never heard of him actually.
And I can tell you, so far, so we're also regrouping people. I'm getting emails on a daily basis, so next time I go to Washington, D.C., I might probably have some lectures for them. Look, I'll tell you quite frankly, and this is my sort of motto in my life, where there is a will, there is always a way.
That's a good one. And do you have some good candidates?
Well, that's precisely. We are registered in California. We have some local chapters in Pennsylvania and Virginia as well. And we are now how can I say, we are now fielding some candidates. I didn't meet the gentleman, Alex Carmichael. I guess he's going to be the one, and a couple of other folks. There's also a vetting process. We have to know who we're dealing with. Most likely these are good people. These are just fine white Americans who are proud of their culture, and I'm also proud, and this is also my duty, that I can provide this sort of some cultural impetus on it.
Because this party is particularly to work for the interests of white people.
Yes,
but of course not against.
Absolutely, I'm strictly against that, and I'm firm. You know, even with people who start criticizing, who make slurs against Jews or blacks, this is not type of a rhetoric you want to use. It doesn't. First, it's vulgar, it's bad, and secondly, it's not a starter. We have to start with the causes of the problem.
Right, and just it's been very good to talk to you.
Well,
I know that even those books that we mentioned here are not your whole production.
I got two more in French.
You have books in French. You have one in Croatian at least. I know.
I got two in Croatian. And I got quite a few of essays in German, and I'm coming up with a German or a book in German. I wrote very extensively about the Volksdeutschen. They're my good friends, Volksdeutsch, ethnic Germans who
Those
were thrown out.
who was thrown out of their homeland.
Absolutely. So you see, my interests are pretty diverse. I'm not just obsessed with the Jewish question, the race question.
No.
We have to know what happened in Schleswig-Holstein. Okay.
We had to invite people, you know, to listen not only to this, but to also your lecture of yesterday. And what I'm very happy to say is that seeing, you know, a very intelligent, very cultured Croat here is very good for the Danes, because do you know what happened just a month ago?
Yeah.
There was a 3-day campaign by the leading tabloid showing the most criminal family in Denmark, which was from, you know, from Croatia.
Yeah.
And that cost the Danish taxpayers 10 million euros. They'd done hundreds of crimes, and it was just, you know, pretty few members. But as they were not. It's not good for the Danes to see the Croats like that, and it's not the Croats, because who were they? They were gypsies.
Did they say that in newspapers?
Yeah, they said, but people don't notice that. They see that it's just like gypsies are just a nice part of, you know, this and that place there, like Croats. But you know, what they're putting about. You were once a diplomat too, and you were even in Denmark. We didn't have time for that. You were in Copenhagen. Yeah. So, I mean, if you were a diplomat at that time, you would have to work on that topic. You know, we don't like this image from the gypsies.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you one thing. I'm proud to tell you that during the war, we had a couple of Danish volunteers, and we had quite a few from Sweden who came there, and I knew quite a few of them. And yes, I'm sorry to say that, but at the same time, we have an explicit fact of the matter. Not just those gypsies, you know, they travel probably with Croatian passports, but they make problems all over Europe. So again, we're not even supposed to use the word gypsies. We use this emasculated word Roma, whatever that means, Roman Empire. You know? So this is again this politically correct discourse, and this again tells you that, you know, we do have some genetic proclivities. There is no question. Now we can talk about the Jews, and the fact of the matter is that there are very few Jews who work on the land, there are very few Jews who work in the factories, they're more in the banking business, and why not say the same thing also for the gypsies? Yeah. Look, I haven't seen many gypsies who are Nobel Prize winners, or who are good humanitarians who work for the Caritas organization. No, I've read if you can find me one Caritas gypsy, I'll buy you a drink.
But it was written somewhere in this article that I mean, work equals stealing. Then we have a little bit of a problem in most societies, obviously.
And I'm glad that you're getting again strong on this Schengen agreement. You should be more conscious, and I'm pleased that also Danes are becoming more racially aware. Well, I only hope that you will not get to the tip of this thing, you know, because it may be too late. Because anyway, things are not nice, but as I said, wherever there is a will, there is a way.
We hope that the nationalist parties, we have one also called the Danish People's Party, Dansk Folkeparti. We hope they'll listen a little bit to your wisdom.
I certainly would be pleased to be of some service, and I'm always at their service, both as an American and a Croatian citizen.
They might even be interested to, you know, to listen to you, because you're obviously not a messianic person of nature. So that, you know, that might be something they could accept and see. Do you have some points there?
Sure.
Could we use that?
Well, I was at the Folketag, what do you call it? I was in the parliament. I even met the Queen. I shook hands with her when I was a diplomat. I was in my tuxedo. And I had a little lecture in front of 100 people on the Balkans and the disruption of Yugoslavia in 1995. So I guess I knew that environment as well. And I certainly would be very happy and honored to be a guest at the national, the Swedish party here.
No, it's Danish,
Danish, yes, I certainly pleased. And I have to apologize, I don't look very representative, I don't have a tie now.
Oh,
I had it yesterday, but it's all right.
I never use one. But we've been very pleased to listen to you here, and we would like to welcome you back anytime.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.